Hey, I mean, that is a good point.
I think we might start seeing some go back. Week 9. Playoffs are nigh upon us. District races are taking shape, and we're here to talk about it all 4A style. Hello, everybody. Terry Bennett, Grant Goodwin here. Sideline to Sideline, the 4A edition, brought to you by SI Design and Printing, Power Plus Mouthguard, and Small Town Society right here on L4 Media. Mr. Gooden, you're looking pretty good today.
Thanks, sir. Nose is running.
Go catch it. So what's the deal with this? Oh, wow.
Action.
Wait, aren't you supposed to put that in your coat pocket?
Yeah. We got one here.
I never understood that. So you're just taking what is a pretty...
Supposedly one, you're supposed to carry two.
One that you use and one you don't?
Yeah. Or, well, one for a girl.
In case she starts bleeding.
In case she's crying or something.
Are you around? Oh, yeah, you probably are around a lot of girls that are crying. The world you live in. So
date night.
I just mean all the women that made bad choices to lead them to you giving them $40 for something.
No reason to call 911.
This has all just been a misunderstanding. Let me put the scythe away. Anyway.
That's no joking matter, sir.
Oh, yes, you're right. Let's be serious. I am Terry Bennett. That is Grant Goodwin. This is Sideline to Sideline, the Class 4A edition, where tonight we're going to be talking. Okay, that was a little weird. Like the mount. Oh, I bet it was the keyboard. I have the keyboard, so I actually have a laptop here that I do all my notes and how we talk the game or show. And then the monitor that you see right here is connected to a mouse and a keyboard that's right here. And I must have hit the keyboard. Speaking of...
Wow, that clarification. That's great.
Speaking of Ethan Sloan's family. Of course, Ethan Sloan played 3A gunner, but got us some cool Central Missouri gear. I'm actually wearing the shirt, even though you can't see it. You have a shirt. We do appreciate that. We have a Vandal rag now.
Yeah.
That's not the shirt. So Ethan Sloan's mom just randomly, she sent me a mule shirt and you a nice shirt.
With the Men's Warehouse. I'm tired of you looking like a rag doll.
I saw this dress shirt and I thought of you. I'll admit it right now. I'm a little punch drunk. I've been sick. So that's why we're recording.
And I've been drinking.
And so that's just Grant normally. But I'm hopped up on NyQuil and DayQuil at the same time. So this is going to be an interesting show. And if some of our shows are missed this week, our coaches' shows, that is why. I'm like right now, it's always warm in here. I even moved the light away from me tonight. I have a shadow here, which my film.
Hey, why didn't the light get moved away from me? I'm hot.
Well, that's because you opened the door to go get more drink. But I'm still like, I'm sweating.
The studio lights are really hot anyway.
Yeah, they are. I hope next year we can put them up top so we don't have to worry about that.
Then it'll be like a heat lamp.
Well, yeah, but we'll
be like
better.
Allsup burritos sitting there.
Oh, don't bring up food right now. I thought at first it was so. Intern Noe and I did an Outdrank the coverage live Monday night. Had a lot of people watch. Really do appreciate that. I was looking at the watch times and they were watching the whole 3 hours. So really appreciate that from our NFL fans.
Man, I didn't think I had a life.
I know we don't have a life, but
no, not you.
Oh, no,
the people that were watching.
Wow, we're gonna knock our listeners. Wow.
No, I'm just saying.
But we had a lot of drink and a lot of Popeye's chicken. I thought that's what got me sick, but no. 2 days later, as you can tell, I'm still feeling it. But anyway, I'm going to soldier on at least for these two shows. We've already did the 2A show. We're going to have our normal talking 4A all the way out in West Texas, all the way to East Texas, to Southeast Texas, where we'll be this week. We can go ahead and kind of tease that if you'd like.
Yeah. Hampshire Finette at Silsby.
Very
Cannot
excited.
Wait. That's why I'm kind of dressed up tonight.
Oh, yeah, because this is a big game.
Yeah.
So every other game we've went to, if you're a fan of, Grant is saying this is the big game. Those were crap games.
Well, last week I should have probably been in a tux because Columbus.
Okay, you're starting
Columbus and Hitchcock was probably the biggest game of the year.
That would be a great bit. Every week you wear clothes that is equal to how big the game is. So like if we're going to go see,
I could do that.
Like
the only problem is I only have like 8 ties and 4 or 5 jackets and 2 suits.
We'll pick crappier games and you can just wear basketball shorts. Like
or just play off some big game is not a big game because I don't have enough. I can't double wear.
Hey, things. Taylor, talk to the media company owner, Brett. We want yellow 70s throwback sporting jackets with the L4 and sideline to sideline patch.
The silk look.
Yeah, and just go like
Howard bowling
Cosell,
jackets.
Yeah, like Howard Cosell and them used to wear on Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
And dude, if you do that, I won't wear them in the first 4 months of the season, but the last 2 games of the year when it's cold, I'll wear them.
You buy them, I'll wear them.
There you go.
Every week.
And this marks off a bucket list for both of us, and we kind of realized we haven't seen Silsbee in person in the whole time we've been doing this show, the whole time you and I have been going to see football.
Yeah.
I've seen them online now multiple times. I've listened to some of their games, but I've never been to see Silsbee. And on top of that, we're getting a Hampshire Finette team that's really good too. So, I mean, it's not like we're just going to see. I'm curious now about the Longhorns and what they're going to do.
Yeah, I've watched Silsbee twice this year online.
Yeah.
And I went back and watched one Hampshire Finette game online. So, yeah, this is a big deal for us, man. And, we've been through Silsbee.
Oh, yeah.
Numerous times, right? Never been in the stadium, inside the stadium, passed by it. This is big. Man, this is big. I'm excited. Are we staying in Silsbee or
Lumberton?
Lumberton.
Staying in Lumberton for the night. I want to say this too. Kind of, we usually say this a couple times a year, but like the games that we pick, and the reason why we haven't seen Silsbee is because usually we would see West Orange start early, and we don't like to, if we can help it, try to see the same team twice in a year until the playoffs, because we've already seen that team. We want to see as many of the top 10 to 15 to 20 that we can see.
Sure.
And so that's why you go, well, why didn't y'all go see Silsbee West Orange Stark a few times? Because we saw West Orange Stark Newton, and that marked off those two. And so that's why Silsbee, even though they've had this great run the last 5-6 years where they're consistently a 12 win or in the 12 game area, that's why this will be the first time, and we cannot wait. But anyway, we're going to be doing what we always do. We're going to review week 8. We're going to preview week 9. Coach X is going to join us, and we're going to do all that when we come back right here on Sideline to Sideline, the 4A edition.
Helmets don't protect every direction of force. And in some sports, a helmet just isn't part of the equipment, like basketball or soccer. Hockey has a small type of helmet. They just don't protect you against all the directions of forces that come into play. You can get forces on top of your head, on the side, on the back, but under the chin, there's nothing to protect that except for a physiologically positioned jaw. Putting your jaw in its physiologic rest position brings the actual jawbone away from the skull, so that when you receive that force from an impact, that force doesn't get translated through the joint into that cradle of the skull, injuring the brain.
L4 Media, we talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. So like and subscribe and check us out. Goodwin here, Sideline to Sideline, the 4A edition.
That's really hot in my ear.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah, a little bit better.
I think it's because I had to use your amp out in the living room for the studio, and it probably noise a little bit deafer than you. Anyway.
A little bit.
Anyway, it's time to talk a little 4A Week 8 reviewing. Where do you want to start?
Let's go to one that shocked me a lot. Alice 21, Cal Allen 7. The Alice defense held Cal Allen just 29 yards rushing and 112 yards of total offense.
Yeah, you and I, we've been – our friend Frank from 3A down low, he jokingly says we've been rough on Cal Allen the last couple of years. And it's just simply they don't have the athleticism that they've had at times. Mm-hmm. And I think this game shows it exactly because, Alice is an okay team. Alice – probably will play a few rounds, but this isn't a great Coyote team. On the year, they're 5-2. They lost to Vets Memorial. They lost to Flower Buff. But one thing they've done all year is they've played really good defense. Yeah. And it's funny that they're kind of shining now because it basically Matt Stepp and them at Dave Campbell, he does such great with the snapshots and stuff. It looks like Alice will be going after a quick 2-year stay in 4A back up to 5A. So maybe they get that chance to get that run real quick.
And maybe this Alice defense is good enough to be a region threat.
Yeah, and I mean, you're in a region that at least on that side, I mean, it's probably going to be Cal Allen and Alice at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, because they won't get till not Bernie because they're Region 3, but they won't get to the Cueros and the Laga Vistas and the Navarros until 2 rounds in. So, yeah, it's interesting to see. We're definitely, the Coyotes are definitely now on our radar as far as where they're doing. Cal Allen's still there. I just don't think Cal Allen just doesn't have good athletes this year.
Yeah, I don't think they're a region threat this year. There's
that's okay.
yeah, that's okay. But yeah, I think Alice might be, maybe this is a little bit of an eye opener though, because Cal Allen still runs that wing T like nobody's business.
Oh yeah, they're a machine. You don't always have to have true, like when I say athletes, them and Navarro do more with less. The problem is though, is if you have
Navarro's got a big one against Wimberley.
We'll be talking about that one. Yeah.
And Wimberley's probably the region favorite, right?
Them and Cuero. I still think Cuero's pretty high up there.
Yeah, they could.
But yeah, Wimberley. Dude, I've told you this when I saw Wimberley versus Lampasas. If there was not a team named Carthage in this bracket, I have Wimberley winning state. And I still don't know if Carthage has a road bump because it feels like with Carthage, you either beat them in the region semis or you don't beat them at all. And so if there's a bump in Carthage, I think Wimberley can easily become the favorite in the state championship.
Yeah, there could be 2 bumps in the road for Carthage, but we'll talk about that later.
No, Canton is not going. Whatever. All right, let's go back into East Texas.
You're picking center, aren't you?
No. Speaking of Carthage, they dismantled Rusk 49-14. Again, this is more just hey, we want to remind you there's a school named Carthage out there that's pretty good.
Jets, yeah, well, Rusk is a pretty darn good team.
Well, right? and Rusk has been very up and down on the year. At times they've scored tons of points, and then I really thought Rusk would be one of those teams that could be a scary team if you played them in the playoffs, but then Van held them to 3 points. And we'll talk about Van here in a little bit too.
I think what you saw here though is look, I know Carthage quarterback Jet Surratt throwing for 281 yards, KJ Edwards running for 86, I think, and 3 touchdowns, 12 carries, something like that. But I think what you're seeing is this Carthage defensive front coming into form.
And this is the first time in a long time that Carthage is young on both sides of the ball.
Right.
Usually they have...
Which is scary for everybody.
It really
because
is.
They're still a state championship favorite.
Oh, by far.
If I had to put money on it, I would put money on Carthage winning again, and they're young on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere. I mean, not that we thought they were going anywhere, but hey, speaking of defending state champs 2 times, boy, La Vega almost pulled it off. China Spring holds them off at the end, 52-49, as La Vega ran for 321 yards, threw for 244 yards.
Yeah, they stretched that China Spring defense. Again, there's been several teams that have done that to China Spring and ended up on the losing end of the bracket, right?
Well, and let's remember, Bernie pushed them around well at times, too, in that game. I think people forget that Bernie, I don't want to say gave them the game, but Bernie had a 2-score lead, and China Spring did China Spring things. But that is the thing you and I have talked about all year and last year, is that China Spring plays athletic defense, but if you can block that front, you can sometimes catch them in the back.
Well, that's the key.
And that's the hardest thing to do in football today.
There's been some teams that have done that so far this year. Good thing for China Spring, the Cougars quarterback, Cash McCallum, threw for 398 yards.
That's why I say he's the best quarterback in 4A.
I think so, too. It's him, but between him and the dude from Wimberley.
Cody Stover.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, that's where McCallum was before. I mean, right. And the great thing is they're great quarterbacks in different ways. They both can throw and they both can run, but Cash is more of the sit in the pocket. He runs if he needs to. Cody Stover is more of man, he's a lightning bug back there. There were a couple times where it looked like, and Lampasas is a pretty solid team. I was actually impressed with their front a little bit. They're smallish, but they're athletic. And there were a couple times in that game where the 2 ends looked like they were about to crush him, and he is so late to pull out that you could almost tell that they were ready for the hit, and then boom, he's out and around the corner, and they had broke containment.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, hey, Lumberton.
Yeah. Look
at them. They started off the year losing their first 3 games. Since then, they've won 4 in a row.
Had some injuries.
Yeah, I meant to email their coach and ask him, because he played at Marshall, and also I known him for a little bit. But Lucas Powell went 15 to 22 for 276 yards passing, and just that defense holding Viter to 28 in a game that I think, if I remember correctly, 2 of those touchdowns were after the game had been decided.
I believe Viter runs that slot T. I've seen them on film twice this year, and they're very effective running that offense. They're tough to stop with that running game, and the Lumberton team, which had a knock on it last year, as defense was their Achilles heel, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to get over my skis on Lumberton right now, but it seems like they're back to where they were.
Well, and I'll say this, you look at their losses, and it's funny because I remember talking about this. They have the weirdest stat line of their first 3 games. They lost 35-20, 35-20, 34-20, but they lost to Hampshire Fannett, Houston St. Thomas, which is a really solid plot, and Nacogdoches, which at that time was, and they're still playing for a 5A. Nacogdoches has been a program that's been down forever, but they have played better. So maybe it's one of those that you have to let the season evolve to see where the teams that beat them are. And so maybe those weren't that bad of losses since then. I mean, but more importantly, though, they're 2-0 in district. This is a down district this year, and it looks like it's going to be them and LCM for district here in a couple weeks.
Yep. All right. A few quick hitters real quick before we go into some more. How about Lindale 35, Chapel Hill 23?
Ooh, it's not beating Chapel Hill. That's impressive. I don't want to say that. It's holding Chapel Hill to 23 points.
Right.
A Lindale team that's given up a lot of points.
Did their quarterback not go out with a high ankle sprain? I think, right? But
I've heard. So the guys,
if you're the man, you got to beat the man with your number 2.
Yeah, but from what I understand from the Chapel Hill broadcasters, he wasn't out much. So I don't feel like this is one of those where he was out for 3/4 of the game or anything.
Yeah, I got some stats on this one. I think if I can get my
for me though, the
phone to pull up
the Lindale defense, after giving up 42, 42, 59, 64 to Kilgore, holding Chapel Hill to 23 points, that to me is the impressive thing. And we're going to say it again. Go back with Chapel Hill. Their biggest issue is, can they protect the ball? And can they play defense when it matters? When you absolutely have to make a stop, can their defense do that? That's going to be that's why you lost against Bernie.
Yeah. Well, and then Lindale's quarterback, Clint Thurman, runs for 310 yards on 46 keepers, 4 touchdowns, 39 yards passing. But who needs to throw the ball if you're running for 310 a clip?
Yeah.
Or 310. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, Lindale is a lot better than what people think it looks like.
It's funny, this district with this game, we kind of had said, hey, it really wasn't the district of doom. There's really only, 3 good teams, but you've got Athens now sitting at 5-2. They're 2-1 in district. You've got 5 teams that legitimately can make that 3 play. I still think it's going to be the standard Kilgore, Lindale, Chapel Hill, and then somebody else. But if it's a team like Athens is pretty talented this year. Hey, I want to talk about another East Texas team real quick.
Okay.
Spring Hill beat North Lamar 42-34. As Trevor Allen ran for 255 yards, 4 touchdowns, caught 2 passes for 49 yards. And Spring Hill's a team that started the year 0-3 or 0-4. They're now 3-4, but more importantly, they're 2-0 in district. And, we talk this district all the time for Gilmer and all that, but it is kind of nice to spotlight a team like Spring Hill. One of the teams that, I can remember back when, of course, they had the Thomas brothers, but they used to be a team you marked in as a 2-round playoff team, even on their down years.
Demarion and
Jamario.
Yeah, that's right.
One of them went and led the nation.
North Texas.
And led the nation in rushing that year. That was so crazy. But they're now 2-0. They, of course, will battle. Let me see when they play this game. I want to make sure I get it right. It might be this week. Let's see here. They're 2-0, and they play Pleasant Grove at the end of the season. So that's going to decide.
That's a tough one.
Calling it now. Spring Hill will play that game. That's as far as I go.
You're high.
Speaking of Gilmer, they beat Liberty Islo.
They beat Liberty Islo, 56-12.
Boy, Liberty Islo started hot, and they've kind of crashed back down to earth.
Yeah, man, you took it away from me. You were talking about rushing and Spring Hill. I was going to say Belleville, speaking of rushing.
Oh, man, I'm
Pete
sorry.
Seeley, 69-0, and they got their dude runs for, 5,000 yards.
Something like that.
I mean, we'll preview them, I think, right?
Yeah.
We're previewing,
Dude, Sealy has, man, this is a team. I know they have a new coach. Mobley left to be the Peaster athletic director, not the coach, just the athletic director.
Right.
Clint Finley, former NFL, played for the Chiefs. No, he took over, and they started out so hot, 2-0. Since then, man, now here's who they've played. I do want to make this case. They lost to Stafford, Bay City, Columbia, Berkshire Royal. That one's kind of went down. But the issue is every game's getting worse. They went from losing by 7 to 21 to 69. So Sealy, they have, and it feels like Sealy has done this the last few years where they just always underperform.
Maybe so. And that's a different discussion.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
how good is Belleville? That's the thing. Belleville has just wiped the field with everybody.
I said this last week. I think we talked about them 2 weeks ago. They got to show me in the playoffs.
Well, but it was 1 year.
But even the year before, they went 12-1. That was still shorter than what we thought they were going to go.
Yeah, every year's different though.
No, I agree.
Every team is different, right? Every team is a different team every year. So I don't know. I just say look out for Belleville. I mean, everybody should be in that region.
Oh, I agree.
I mean, Belleville might be one of the best teams in that region.
Oh, I agree with that. On paper, I think they are. And we talk about their running game, but DJ Sanders, that's the big freshman we saw a couple years ago. He has matured. He's kind of become a Dalen Mack like was for Gladewater, man. He's just making plays all over the field. He's athletic. He's huge, but his athleticism stands out even at 300 pounds. And I think he's a little bit bigger than 300 now. All right, where to now?
Needville, 56, El Campo, 28.
Wow, you called this one, man. Good call on this one. You have called the last two El Campo losses.
Well, there's two things. I think Needville is a lot better than what people realize.
Yeah.
They're very underrated.
100%.
And I think El Campo is they're in turmoil.
Well, new system.
They've been in turmoil from week 2.
Yeah, new system. And I think Travis Reed's going to do a wonderful job there.
Oh, he will.
But you lose your quarterback.
It's not going to be this year.
Yeah, it's not going to be this year. You lose your quarterback. You already were facing some depth issues. And you're seeing it now. I still think they might make the playoffs, but it's going to be a tough road. They're going to have some help. But for Needville, I mean, they're almost a mirror of what we saw a few years ago when they had that stud running back. They don't play a lot of defense at times, but they also don't need to because of Keelan Sweeney at quarterback and because of Cade Ramirez and Deshaun Burton. Deshaun Burton 2 weeks ago had like 285 yards or some crazy number like that.
Yeah.
This is one of those teams that just like a couple years ago, I think it was 2019, they went 10-3 because that's when we went and saw them play West Columbia. And they got on a roll in the playoffs. And they had 2 big wins because their offense was so good. That's when they ran into Lampasas and it was 66-44.
Yeah.
I've never heard you so mad at a game than Lampasas and Lindale when neither team was stopping each other. And you were like texting me going, this is trash.
Oh yeah,
because they couldn't stop each other.
That was Lindale and Needville.
No, it was Needville.
Bryan.
It was Needville and Lampasas. They didn't play. Lampasas beat Needville the week before.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember.
Okay. How about Lubbock Estacado 52, Andrews 14. Estacado's now 6-1. Their running back James Bozeman ran for 180 yards.
Yeah, again, going off of what Step said about Snapshot, they might fall to Free Division 2 next year.
Oh, that's dangerous.
That's really dangerous. And they are kind of a team like for Belleville that the last few years they've been really talented, but they seem to underperform in the big games. And I feel like this region this year is there for the taking because 4A Division 1, Region 1, there's a lot of okay teams. There's nobody to me that's just completely standing out above everybody. So they're 1-0. They're 6-1 in district. They've got Brownwood this week, which we'll know a little bit more.
2 or 3 great teams.
Well, yeah,
but they are not performing,
or they're not. Yeah, and they're not showing that they're that far away from each other. And we'll learn. We'll know this week because Estacado.
No separation. Right?
Yeah, exactly. There you go. I was trying to think of that word. We'll know this week though because Estacado and Brownwood play.
All right, Canyon 30, Hereford 13. Hereford came into this game pretty hot.
Yeah,
Canyon was hot. Canyon leaves no doubt.
Yeah, I'm not going to say they're better than they were last year. Well, I guess for half the year they were because they lost their stud quarterback, Derek Clemens. last year when he got hurt. And that is still one of the biggest what ifs, because that Canyon team, man, they were humming along last year. This year, Noah Sanchez, the sophomore quarterback, he's been solid. The defense, once again, has been very solid. Their only loss was to West Plains. And again, people need to watch out West Plains in 4A Division II in that region. They might be playing through this year.
Their only loss was to what, Bushland?
Bushland 47-41 the first game of the year.
Yeah.
And
we saw how good Bushland was.
Yeah, and they throttled Canyon, and they throttled Estacado.
Mm-hmm.
So that just a reminder. I know we keep bringing it up. Of course, you can hear our Canyon show each and every week where we talk all the 3 Canyon schools, including Canyon Randall, who they're quietly now 2-0 after they started the season struggling. So it's not quite a walkthrough for Canyon in this district, but I think beating Hereford was their big hurdle.
Yeah. All right. How about Iowa Colony 37, Navasota 21? Iowa Colony's quarterback Carson White went 14-23 for 263 yards passing. Their running back Aaron Tanner ran for 151 yards on 18 carries. Iowa Colony now improves to 7-0.
Yeah, we had talked about them in the offseason, and we kind of said, for all the talk about all the favorites coming out of this division in this region with Chapel Hill and all that, people need to watch out for the Pioneers.
Oh, yeah.
Not only are they talented, but they're at 5A depth numbers already. And when we talked to Coach Ray Garza at Coach's School, he even said, yeah, that's a benefit. He goes, this is where you take advantage of these. You do what Shadow Creek did or what Katy Patel did when you had bigger numbers. You take that last year and you win with it. And man, they are winning right now. And they're not outside of Stafford. And you and I talk about Stafford, one of the most up and down teams. There haven't been a lot of close games in this one. Their defense, this was the most points they'd given up all year, was to Navasota and Stafford. And other than that, they've been 13-0, 10, 14, and 7. This Pioneer offense is really good, but I think this Pioneer defense is very underrated.
Yeah, you have a team with numbers like that. You can really tell it on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Because you can run in different lines and, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you can tell when there's a deficiency in numbers is the defensive side of the ball. All right, how about Van 56, Center 36? That Van defense held Center to just under 253 yards of total offense.
Yeah,
who else can do that?
Exactly, but give Center credit for scoring 36 points on just 253 yards of offense. That's a pretty impressive point per yard.
I have not seen this game. That sounds like some short fields.
Yeah, sound like some short fields, and that's going to be the issue with Van. Is I think they have a tendency to not turn the ball over, but just turn the ball over, but just reasons.
I know this Van offensively is pretty balanced.
They're starting to really come together offensively, you know,
and got a big one next week against Carthage. And
Van,
I think we might go to that one.
And Van is going to be coming off the bye, so they're going to be rested. For all the talk about what Surratt does, Jared Moffitt at Van, he can come out with some good wrinkles and stuff. And
I think Moffitt, the quarterback, was actually out for this game too,
Jackson.
or didn't play the whole game.
Okay,
that's another.
We have a Van fan. In fact, hey, speaking of, we got a Van Vandal.
That's right.
Rag here on the table. If you're
it's a towel, not a rag.
Okay. I mean, it's Texas. It's a rag. Grab the rag. If it's no bigger than 3 folds, it's a rag. If it's 3 folds or more, it's a towel.
I would think it would be by thickness. Like a rag is something that's not very thick. It's a towel if it's a little thicker.
I've always been told it's thickness over length.
Well, I'm 0 for 2, so let's go for something else. Decatur 58, Wichita Falls 0. Very impressive.
I didn't think Wichita Falls was going to win that game, but I thought they'd score some points. And Decatur to shut them out is very impressive.
And put up almost 60 on them.
Yeah, well, Decatur scores. It doesn't feel like they're starting to round into form a little bit, too.
It does. And I would not want to play them in the playoffs.
No.
Anna 48, Kaufman 20. Let me tell you, after that Anna lost to Salina, Anna was just demolishing everybody until they got to Salina and played a double overtime.
Yeah, great game.
Classic, one of the best games in the last 5 years against Salina, losing that one. Anna is still showing they are a region favorite.
Oh, yeah. We've talked about it before that game.
I still think Anna is better than they were last year.
That's exactly where I was about to go. You were saying that, before that game, and that game didn't show me anything less, we will be seeing Salina versus Anna round 2, just like we did last year.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Where do you want to go?
I think that's it. Probably need to preview some in the next segment.
You know what? Let's do that. Let's take a break. And when we come back, we're going to do a little week 9 preview. We also have Coach X and all that kind of fun stuff right here on Sideline to Sideline, brought to you by SI Design and Printing.
Every direction of force, and in some sports a helmet just isn't part of the equipment, like basketball or soccer. Hockey has a small type of helmet. They just don't protect you against all the directions of forces that come into play. You can get forces on top of your head, on the side, on the back, but under the chin there's nothing to protect that except for a physiologically positioned jaw. Putting your jaw in its physiologic rest position brings the actual jawbone away from the skull, so that when you receive that force from an impact, that force doesn't get translated through the joint into that cradle of the skull, injuring the brain.
Hey, I mean, that was a good point.
I think we might start seeing some go back. That's Grant. I'm Terry. This is Sideline to Sideline. I'm not even playing. I did not even know that was on here. Anyway, we're back here on the Class 4A show right here on L4 Media, brought to you by, of course, SI Design and Printing, Power Plus Mouthguard, but also Small Town Society. You can find them online at shopsmalltownsociety.com. For all your, well, there's just weird things going on the computer tonight. Now we have a weird background on our show. Let's go back to the original background. There we go. All right, you can check out Small Town Society online at shopsmalltownsociety.com. They do game day shirts like this one. This one says, come and take it. This is for Franklin. You have a couple of their Franklin ones. They have a lot of game day for guys and girls. They also have hats and accessories. They have holidays. They have long sleeve. They have sweaters. They have short sleeve. They have holiday stuff that's for like Halloween. Great Halloween shirt that I ordered for my fiance. So check them out, smalltownsociety.com.
You're engaged?
Yes, you knew I was engaged. I got engaged. I literally got engaged 5 feet from you on the beaches at Corpus Christi.
Well, I like to drink, so I forget sometimes.
That is true. Oh, man. You know what I forgot to tell you on this trip, by the way?
What?
This is a crazy story.
Oh.
I love just throwing it at you like that when you don't know what's going. That's right. Coach X is back.
You hear that sound? Yeah. That sound, the life force being sucked out of me.
All right, here's what Coach X has to say in his diatribe before we get into his games. I was told Coach X got quite popular on Smokey. Thanks for that, Grant. Wait,
I don't know.
What did you do?
I'm like the Oprah of high school football.
But what did you do? What did you say?
I endorsed him. Maybe some.
How did you endorse him?
I don't know.
Why can you never tell me anything? Why do I have to go find out on
You didn't
Smokey?
tell me you were engaged.
I got engaged right in front of you and then turned around and said, hey, I'm engaged, Grant.
Okay, you didn't remind me afterwards.
I literally mention her as my fiance 5 or 6 times a day when we hang out. The next day, it has to be 2 days in a row. That's the only way you get it.
That's the only way it beats it into my brain.
All right. Anyway, he says, I'm no hero. Well, maybe I kind of am, but there will be no living with Miranda now that Lindell beat Chapel Hill like a tied up goat. Why would anybody want to beat up a tied up goat? I bet PETA wouldn't like that. I think I'd rather beat up some PETA people than a tied up goat. Well, a man can dream. Now on with Grant and Coach X show with a guest appearance by Tare Bear.
Can't believe you didn't say tying up Miranda,
Boy,
doing stuff to her or something.
Oh yeah, that just. Oh man, he just went. Oh, I should have said that. It'll be up in the next couple of weeks.
I should have went. For
I don't
it on
appreciate though that
instead of kicked it.
I'm telling you, he loves he calls it his punt and go offense. But I should have known. You're only doing this so he doesn't talk bad about you in the diatribe. That's the only reason you're nice to him.
No, I don't do that. I don't care.
Every time
he and I are tight.
Every time I hit his music, you hate it. Every time. Look at that face. See, there's a face.
Could I come up with his at-bat intro music next time?
Yeah, go ahead. I will let you do it.
Not right now.
No, I'm telling you. Yeah, I'm saying next week. Yeah,
okay.
You have control of the board next week.
Well, no, I'll just tell you what to put. I can't control that. Look at all the buttons on that. They're all lit up. Yes. It's like the nuclear suitcase or something. I
got it from Trump on Facebook Marketplace.
All right. Can we go into the 4A preview and do what we're supposed to do here?
Now you want to do this?
I mean,
do you want to start where we're going to be?
All football, no bullshit. Let's go.
All right. That's going to be our new name of our show. All gas, no brakes. All football, no bullshit. You want to go where you want to talk the first game where we're going to be?
Yeah. Right, Hampshire Finette at Silsbee. Cannot wait for this game, man.
Yeah, we've had some great games this year, and this I think is going to be one of the top 2 or 3 games. I want to say when you've got a quarterback like Finette does and Ty Bryson, and he's got 2 really good receivers in Braxton Starnes and Pierce Purtle, and of course Silsbee has Draylon Miller. I still feel like this might be a little bit of a lower scoring game because these 2 defenses are so physical this year.
It could, but look, here's the thing. Look, Silsbee's got Draylon Miller that we all know about, averages of about 93, 95 yards a game receiving. Ashton Cartwright, though, does not get enough pub statewide.
I agree with that.
Miller takes a lot of the coverages away from Cartwright, and Cartwright's averaging 83, 85 yards a game receiving. And then Trey Kibbles at running back and Michael Mosher, they just light it up offensively too. You can't defensively, you cannot. I mean, you have to pick your poison, right?
Yeah.
Now, Finette the Longhorns are about as balance of offense as you'll see in all of Class 4A. So this is going to be strength on strength, and which defense is going to be able to step up,
and that's going to, and which offense doesn't commit turnovers.
Right.
I mean, we see it all the time, and we talk about it. You see so many great matchups get killed by turnovers. Turnovers at the worst time. But man, I don't know. I just keep going. I mean, you look at what Silsbee's done defensively. 14 points, 0, 27, but they scored 72 in that game. Yeah. Held West Orange Stark to 6, 13-0. All right. And then you look at what the Longhorns have done defensively, and on the year, 20, 14, 8, 0, 7, 28 to Jasper, and then 14 to West Orange Stark. So these 2 teams, and I know West Orange Stark is down, but these 2 teams combined to hold West Orange Stark
is not really down. They're better this year than they were last year.
But maybe it's just everybody else around them is better this year. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I think if you went and saw West Orange Stark, I think they're as good, if not better, than they were last year.
They lost to Silsbee 20-6 and DeFan at 21-14.
Yeah.
So that just goes to show, again, that's why I still think at the end of the day, this might end up being a lower scoring game than we're thinking.
It could be. I like Silsbee. I think this could be a classic, but I like Silsbee by 8 to 10 points.
I like the Longhorns by 3 points.
Do you really?
Yeah. I think this is a 1-possession game easily.
I think I agree with the 1-possession game, but man, when you got playmakers like Miller, Cartrozier, it's tough.
Oh yeah, I agree. And this is one of those that you and I can pick it 100 times, and it just.
I'm just so excited to be there.
Yeah, I am too. All right, let's see what Coach X has to say. Is this the old Hampshire we've never heard about? Like that new one way up there in Canadian that they get all the publicity. So that's why they are the new Hampshire because of this one. Hold on a sec. I got to take a call. Hello. No, man, I can talk. Just doing my write-up for mine and Grant's show. Yeah, Larry is still on it, but it's me and Grant are the Dean and Frank of the show. Lawrence is more of the Jerry Lewis. Hey, the French would love me. Hold on. I got to make my pick. Silsby, I picked it my way. Oh, God, that's so bad. Get it?
I get it. I get it.
Way.
I'm dumb.
He's like
he's
like the Joey Fatone of the group. All right.
Oh, new kids.
There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's go to let's hit a quick hitter real quick. Brownwood versus Lubbock Estacado.
Oh, great game. Should probably be more than a quick hitter, but I got a little lazy on
well, I mean,
but look, I call for Brownwood that quarterback against Lubbock Estacado and their defensive or offensive prowess as well. This is going to be a great game. A lot of points scored, I think, in this game, right?
Yeah, I think this is a high-scoring game. Though, I will say this. When you look at who Brownwood have played, and me and you get kind of skewed because the one game we saw in live, a third-string quarterback with a number 40 or whatever, led Stephenville to 2 scoring drives. But on the year against really good teams, this team has been solid defensively. They held Connolly to 28. They held Abilene Wiley, who's refound themselves in 5A to 21. They shut out Lakeview last week. They beat Big Spring 56-7. So I do think Brownwood has the chance to, if it's a lower scoring game, I think it fits them. If it gets to be high scoring, this is where Brownwood loses some of their thing because they don't have a lot of options outside of iCall.
I think Brownwood and iCall take this game, and I think it's by 6 points. I think this is a classic. Could be an instant classic. This is in Lubbock, I believe, right?
Yeah.
But I like Brownwood in a really good game. Like if we weren't going to Finette and Silsby, might be at this game.
I'm going to go with the Matadors, and I'm going on a little bit of a trust because they tend to not play well in these big games. I'm going to say that they will this year, and I just think I just keep seeing Brownwood offensively struggle with that when iCall can't, if iCall is being even halfway contained, nobody else has stepped up yet. So maybe this is the game that happens. And I think it needs to happen for Brownwood. This is a team that I think has a lot of the right things to make a deep run. Finding a second option on offense where iCall didn't have to do everything is important to them.
All right. China Spring versus Stephenville.
Wow.
Yeah. What a great game. We were at this game last year. I don't think it'll be as good this year, but it has a chance of being really good, though. But I don't think it will be. Look, Stephenville or China Springs quarterback Cash McCollum and running back Kyle Barton, they're going to struggle against this Stephenville defense. Like we saw that limited Brownwood when it really mattered in the second half. I think they will be able to do the same. Thing is, I think China Spring has way more big play ability.
Yeah,
with their guys out there than Brownwood did. Now, can China Springs defense really stop Tate Maruska at running back and the third string quarterback for Stephenville, Hudson Butchie? I think they can slow them down.
Yeah,
especially with Butchie. I don't think Stephenville will be able to keep up offensively. And China Spring can run, dude. And they can run offensively. They're going to put up a lot of points. I don't think Stephenville can keep up for 4 quarters. I think it could be close through 3, but give me China Spring in this one.
Yeah, I just think that they're just too many weapons on offense against the Stephenville defense that has played a lot better than I think people understand. You know, they gave up 31 to a young 5A Midlothian Heritage team, and everybody was like, well, that's interesting. But then they held Everman to 7. They gave up 55 to Decatur, but guess what? Decatur's scoring on everybody. I think the Yellow Jacket defense can keep this a close game for 3 quarters, but in that 4th quarter,
it's going to get scratched.
Yeah, and you're going to see China Spring do what they did against Vega and just start opening up the offense more. Again, this China Spring is one of those teams that they do as much as they need to beat you, and then they try not to show a lot. Yeah. It's district. It's time that if they feel like if it's a 1-possession game in the 3rd quarter, you'll start seeing them do things that they're going to do in the playoffs. I like the Yellow Jackets to keep it close, but I think China Spring wins it. All right, let's see what Coach X has to say. Did Brett change schools? Does he support Cougar Spring now? Seems like they've replaced Brock as the school we talk about each week. Hey, did y'all see Brett is taking me to the Ryder Cup next time? He even got me a Texas flag suit. He said American at first, but I was like, excuse me, General Lee, I am a Texan, even went to Tarleton and live in Stephenville, so give me the Cougars. So now you're going to have all these internet sleuths going across all the Tarleton photo books to try to find a Coach X.
Why do you think he thinks that Brett's going to take him to the Ryder Cup, not us?
Probably because Brett was drunk and Coach X was bothering him when he was at the last one, and he said, fine, I'll take you next time. And
that's the problem. We haven't been drunk with Brett. But he is our boss.
I have.
You have?
Yeah, the first time I met him if we were going to start this new company, we met down at Angry Dog.
Oh.
We had a good time. That was a fun night.
Nobody invited me.
Yeah, actually we did. You were gone.
Where was I gone to?
We'll wait until the judge.
You're lying because you don't even know where I was gone to.
Well, I don't want to say it on the air until the case has been adjudicated.
I'm always here.
I know it's a little weird.
I know.
I walk in here and you're like laying on the bed, on the floor and everything. And your new wife's like, is Grant still in Canada for business? And I'm like, sure, I guess. How do y'all do this show? It looks like he's right there in studio, but I know he's been in Toronto for the last 3 months.
We had a longer cord for these.
I fixed it. That's not the issue. You caught it on your boot.
You're not fixing.
So you're just struggling in a suit. You just don't. You're all over the place.
First of all, it's not a suit.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
It's a Texas
sports
suit
coat
and a tie. That's a Texas suit. Are you wearing boots?
Maybe.
Are you wearing blue jeans?
Maybe.
That's a Texas suit. All right, let's go down into Region 4, Wimberley versus Navarro. This has been a game that's always been interesting the last few years. I don't know if it will be this year. I just feel that Wimberley is just...
I'm going to tell you something.
You're going to try to tell me Navarro's going to win this game?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
But every time I try to write off either one of these two teams... That's
a good point.
Either one of these two teams, it comes back to bite me. Wimberley's going to win this football game. Look, Cody Stover at quarterback, Noah Birdsong at receiver, Nola Wada at receiver, and then the really good running back, Chase Carson. I mean, that's an offensive machine.
Yeah.
And how big they are up front. But let me tell you, man, Navarro's running back, Antoine Mebane, is the real deal. Navarro averages almost 300 yards per game on the ground. And if they are able to run it up close to 300 yards against this Wimberley defense, that gives them a chance. I don't know if they're going to be able to. Can they move that Wimberley defensive front? Do you think they can?
No, not consistently enough. Now, they're an offense that will always... They're going to, even in games that they lose.
You can only run Peanut about 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, you can't, especially when you're talking about a Wimberley team that knows them very well. Wimberley probably knows their angles and their blocking angles and all that just as good as Navarro does because they play each other so much.
Right.
I've said it all year. I think Wimberley is special this year. I think Navarro is down.
Do
too. They only had like 5 coming back off last year's team on offense. They've struggled offensively at times. I like, we have a Laga Vista show and Laga Vista is very young, but Laga Vista held them to 27 points in a close game. I don't think in any way Wimberley, I just feel like Wimberley wins like a 42-21 type game.
I think so too. And I think Wimberley will stick their neck out and make everybody realize how special they are.
Now, but again, if you can't get Navarro's offense off the field and you only getting 3 possessions
that's the
a
whole
half,
question, though.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that's the greatness about this offense when they're running it well. Even against a team that's a better team, they keep their offense off the field. You force that offense to feel like they have to make up every point in one play. You get frustrated, but I don't know. I just don't see it happening.
If there's a defense that can do it, Wimberley's defense can do it.
Yeah.
If there's an offense that can just score on every possession that you need to, Wimberley's offense can do it. So
yeah,
I agree with you on the score. All right, how
hang
about...
Hang on, I got Coach X. Coach X. See, Coach X. He tries to make
No, I'm not. I love you, man.
Let's see what Coach X has to say. This has got to be one of my top 5 games I look forward to each year. That is true. He does love this matchup. The only thing that would have made this game better is if the Geronimo people would have done the smart thing several years ago and made their mascot the Apaches, the Warriors, the Chiefs, the Roaring Thunder, or even the Parachutes. Wimberley, you are the Texans. Damn you, Geronimo Navarro. This game could be the Texans versus the Apaches and be really historically accurate. Give me the Texans. Good point.
It's a roundabout way. He agrees with us.
Everything he does is a roundabout way. Let's be honest with you.
All right, Bay City and Needville. This was a hidden gem right here, right? Bay City's quarterback, Alex Estrada, is thrown for 1,435 yards. Jada Andrews, running back, averages 126 yards a game rushing. Zylan Williams, the receiver, averages 104 yards a game receiving. So this Bay City offense is pretty potent, but Needville has arguably one of the best running backs of Class 4A in Deshaun Burton. He's ran for 1,630 yards so far. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I like Needville just because I think right now they can outscore everybody. And as we talked about, they've quietly been decent on defense compared to where they were. And also Bay City has just been very kind of up and down. You look at them, and this isn't a knock. They lose to Edna 28-21. That's fine. Edna's a good team.
Edna's darn good.
Yeah. They beat Brazosport and El Campo, but lose to Navasota. And Navasota is
that was a little bit of a head scratcher.
And let's be honest here, 12-4A Division I. If you haven't noticed, we talked about them in the preview and the review. This has been a fun district, and it's been all over the place because Navasota, they lose to El Campo 48-14, but then beat Bay City 30-26, then lose to Needville 56-42. So I just it's confusing to me how Bay City lost that game, and so I don't know. I feel like Needville, oddly enough, has been the more consistent team. Of course, they're in the beaten, so yes. But give me Needville, but I don't think it's going to be – I think this is a close game. I think this is a high-scoring game.
Yeah, I actually agree. I take Needville not so much because of Deshaun Burton at running back. Keelan Sweeney, though, has ran for 1,050 yards from the quarterback position and thrown for 815.
Yeah.
So when you got a really good running back like Burton and then Sweeney, a dual threat like that, good luck. With a Bay City defense that's kind of struggling anyway.
No, I totally agree with you on that. All right, let's see what Coach X has to say.
Do we have to?
Yes. The Rollers rolled up the birds that eat rice just like I said they would, Bay City. I'm like 57-0 on the season, by the way. Suck on that, Junior Professor Doug. Hey, Terrence, do you know where Needville is? I didn't think so.
We've been there.
Anyway,
we went there 2 years ago.
Just let him. So it's right in between Wantville and Dreamland. Pretty funny. Good job. Dreamland has a cool mascot because they're the Kirby's. I really need the Rollers to win, and they will. Now I'm 58-0, Doug.
Hey, do you remember that Needville cafe we went to, the J Cafe?
Yes, that was really good.
Oh, their ribeye was amazing.
And
if you're ever in Needville,
go there.
Yeah.
And by the way,
the J Cafe, their ribeye.
And their pie, they're well known for their pies. Remember? We didn't eat any, but yeah.
I don't know. I'm diabetic, so I don't eat it. Crap.
I love how you use that when it fits. And also, they have one
I wasn't diabetic last week.
Yeah, but you will be, well, until we get to Silsby. I heard there's some good steak place down there. So
yeah, that's right. Honky Tonk, Texas.
Yeah, have you ever right there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
No, I have not.
Yeah,
no.
Derek Del Rio gave us that tip.
Yeah, might have a slice of pecan pie and not be diabetic.
With your sweet tea?
Sweet tea, too. Yeah.
I will say
you
this.
might have to drive because my vision will be very blurry, but that's okay, man.
I will say this, too. That is one of the most beautiful views from a stadium, like just where it's at Needville.
Oh,
where
Needville.
It's at, just the views are really pretty. You got that was a big bell at the one end of the field,
right? Yeah, there was a big bell.
Like
I don't remember the view.
Oh yeah, like it was really pretty. Yeah, I tend to notice those things.
How do you have a big, nice view from a coastal plain?
Isn't all of Coastal Plains a nice view?
You think we were in Big Bend doing an alpine
I didn't
game.
say there was mountains. I said it was you do realize it doesn't have to be mountains to be pretty, right?
No, it pretty much does.
Oh, that's not what you're saying when we were in Galveston this week.
Because I was ocean.
Anyway, here's a quick hitter. Jasper versus West Orange Stark. What are your thoughts on Jasper versus West Orange Stark?
You know what? This is...
You know what? Sorry.
Really?
Just made me laugh.
Why don't you tell me your thoughts?
I was really high on the Bulldogs of Jasper, and then the Franklin game kind of, and Franklin's great, but it felt like, and you and I talked about it felt like this was going to be a game where Jasper's physicality comes out. They've got a stud linebacker, all that thing. And then Franklin not only pushed them around offensively, but pushed Jasper's offense around.
Yeah.
And Franklin is a really good, solid defense. But if you were to say there's a weakness on Franklin, which there's not a lot, they can give up points. And so I really thought that just really, I don't know, it kind of shook me as far as what Jasper did.
Franklin would give up points through the air.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's not what Jasper does. So you're right about that.
Right. I like West Orange Stark in a close one. This is going to be a classic. We've got several really good games in Class 4A. This is in Orange, right? In West Orange. Very hard place to go in and get at Dan Hook Stadium. It's just not an easy place to win.
Yeah.
Give me West Orange Stark in this one, but I think it's going to be close.
Well, in this
go overtime.
This is one of those games where we talk about everybody talks about district, but this is for third and fourth place, and you want to avoid. So here's your right now.
And here's how tough this district is, by the way. When you got West Orange Stark and Jasper playing for third and fourth place,
yeah,
those are two SEC type high school football teams.
Yep. And so if you're fourth place, you're going to play a Sweeney, or third place, you're going to play a Sweeney, a Brookshire Royal, or a Columbia Roughnecks. Maybe a Lamarck. They're still kind of in it.
I'll take any of those.
If you're fourth place, you're playing Belleville.
Don't want any of that. Those are problems I don't want to have.
So that's why you want to win this week. And in saying that, either one of those that's going to be a hell of a first round matchup. Belleville versus either either West Orange Stark or Jasper.
Maybe that's one of those games as a doubleheader down in like Pflugerville or something.
That'd be awesome.
Pflugerville's the next, by the way, high school playoff ground zero.
Yeah, it's a great stadium. We've loved going there.
That's like the capital of high school football playoffs. It seems like Pflugerville is right now. All right, how about Alvarado versus La Vega?
First one to 80 might win.
Yeah, pretty much. I like La Vega, but in a very close one.
Yeah, and I do think this will be one of those games that ends up being a little lower scoring than we think. And when I mean that, like 45 to 35, I like La Vega. I still, when you look at what Alvarado did against China Spring, losing 64 to 28, that makes me wonder, is their offense really good when they're playing average defenses, and then when they play a decent defense, they struggle? And La Vega barely has a decent defense. I do admit that. But at the end of the day, I like La Vega. I do think this will be a fun game. All
right. And then the last one is Carthage versus Center. Give me Carthage. I think a lot of people think Center can score. But not.
I thought that
tonight,
until last week. I thought that not that they could score enough.
Even before, Carthage is a different animal.
Oh yeah, I know.
When you let Carthage get up for their last two games, by the way, are Center and Van. And let me tell you,
that's your second and third place teams in the district.
Yeah, and when Carthage gets up, I think they're playing with their food a little bit.
I agree,
because it doesn't matter. It matters, but it's not a big game. When you got these next 2 weeks, Center and Van, which I still think we need to go to the Carthage Van game.
I have no problem doing that.
All right. I think they're going to show up and show out. Give me Carthage, not even close, against Center.
All right. I think that's going to put a wrap for a week 9. 2 more weeks, and then the playoffs start. Cannot wait. Again, we appreciate our sponsors, SI Design and Printing, Power Plus Mouthguard, Small Town Society, and still Munster Chamber of Commerce. They still do the Munster Show. We do appreciate that. Anything else you got to say?
Nope, that's it.
Email us any questions, thoughts, or comments. Grant and Terry at s2ssport.com. Find us on Facebook, Sideline to Sideline, on Twitter at Grant and Terry. And until next week, this has been Sideline to Sideline, the 4A edition.
To the bar by levee, 85 jacked up square by Chevy, blanket in the back.